Idly ho there, neighbors. It's been a few days. I had some teeth go bad on me. Abscess. Was not pleasant. Not fun at all. Had to have them extracted, so it didn't feel much like talking, which is ironic given my job is mainly talking to people. But that's, I guess I expended my resources in that regard. Now, Faun Trodden actually posted a video inviting people to talk about the settings and genres that they would like to be doing. I guess the impression I took away from it anyway was that he was talking about ones that you don't normally get to do, or not as often as you would like, or haven't done, and things that you would like to see as a game in that regard, and like maybe do yourself or have somebody run for you or something like that. That was the impression I took away from the video anyway. So, I thought about it today while I was at work, trying to figure out which ones haven't I done recently or haven't done, and would like to, so I have a few notions on this point. First, let me say I want this. I really like westerns. I'm a fan of westerns. Western movies. There's something very compelling about them. I have yet to play in a true, honest-to-goodness Western RPG. Now, some people will point to Deadlands, and I've played Deadlands. But Deadlands is more about the weird than the West, to a certain extent. I mean, there's certainly some of the Western trappings, but, you know, spellcasters and things like that. I don't know. I don't go for it. I think that, well, let me rephrase that. I like Deadlands. I think it's a great game. But as far as fulfilling my need for a Western, it doesn't do it for me. I want a Western RPG. It can have a little weirdness to it, but not the sort of gonzo levels of weirdness that is Deadlands. I want a game where you play, you know, gunslingers and coachmen and, you know, cavalry commanders and native scouts and things like that. And it's not about zombies or ghosts or, you know, magic rocks and powering your proto-tank kind of stuff. It's about, you know, the sort of things that were problems in the West, the tensions between different groups and nations and what have you. So that's what I would like to see there. And there are some games out there, there have been over the years, Boot Hill being the obvious one, but I've never played them. And I've always kind of wanted to. So that's the first one. I think that there's some compelling stories to be just had in an ordinary Western setting. You don't need quite so much gonzo magic. This is not to say that the gonzo magic isn't fun. Deadlands is a fun game and I like it. But I'd like to see a true Western sometime. You know, I look at games as kind of like food, in that your tastes, some people just eat like sushi and a few sushi related type things. They don't really vary their diet that much. Some people eat everything under the sun. Sadly, I'm a little more of that side myself, but more importantly, in the gaming field, you know, some people only play D&D, and that's fine. Some people like only World of Darkness, and that's fine. I tend to go all around. So, you know, I like everything. I like the deep drama, and I like the crazy action games, and you know, everything in between. I enjoy games because it's a social activity and it's a creative experience, even when it's the silly stuff. That said, another genre that I don't see enough of, the few times I've encountered it, I enjoyed it, was hard science fiction. Or, okay, hard science fiction is hard to do. Not everybody is an engineer or a scientist, and I get that. But at least firm science fiction. The best example I can think of off the top of my head is Dawning Star, written by some friends of mine. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to when the Fate version comes out. They're still working on it, and I'm looking forward to it. But a good, solid, firm science fiction. And some people will say, well, you know, you can always play Star Wars or something like that. And Star Wars is more of a science fantasy to me. It's, you know, Jedi are wizards, guys. I'm sorry, they are. There is no real science behind any of the stuff in those movies. They're fun, but it's not really the same thing. Good, hard, firm science fiction usually involves science being involved in the actual aspects of the story. And I think I'd like to see something like that. A good example that I would love to see somebody do a game of is the Expanse series, the novels, the Expanse series. They're going to be doing a TV show of it on Sci-Fi Channel, but they've got 4 books in. I love them. They're great. And they are very much they're not hard sci-fi, but they're definitely in the firm science fiction realm. You know, human beings don't have warp drives or anything like that until they encounter something that, you know, ancient and powerful and terrible, and they have to figure out what to do about it. But they do it in a manner that is not, you know, they aren't dealing with magic. They're dealing with science, just science on a level that they aren't ready to deal with yet. And I like that. I enjoy it. And I want to see more games where that's kind of the structure, that there's a hard science. And, you know, I would certainly run one or play in one. I would love that. Genres, let's see. Other things, as far as settings, or that I haven't played in a while that I'd like to play at least. I remember fondly Spelljammer. I would play Spelljammer again. I would. I enjoyed it. I know. There are some people who stick their nose up to it. I don't care. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And so, you know, I enjoyed that it created its own sort of rules. This is how the universe works, and stayed within those rules, and I like that. Other things, I want to play an Avatar game. I tried to run one once in Hero System. That didn't go so well for me. It was a lesson for me in how not to do something. The rule system was not well suited to what I was trying to do, for one thing. And I didn't establish early on, this is the way the stories should go. In that, you know, this is not a world where you murder people left, right, and center. And a couple of people were playing characters that were more D&D-ish and less Avatar-ish. D&D characters don't work real well in Avatar. And by Avatar, I mean Avatar: The Last Airbender. Thank you. So there's that. I would like to play in a good post-apoc game. And when I say good post-apoc, I mean not with zombies. There are a couple of good things I would like to see there. One, post-apocalyptic can go 2 different ways as far as I'm concerned. One is the distant future after the apocalypse. To a certain extent, Risk does this. One should maybe not look to Risk as the inspiration, but it's certainly not for the the mechanics of it anyway. But the other is like just after the disaster. Half the book of Lucifer's Hammer is leading up to the disaster, and the other half of the book is after the disaster. After the fire, there are a few other books along those lines where it's about shortly after the disaster and humanity trying to rebuild something. I kind of like that story. I'd like to see somebody do something with that in a game. I'd like to do something with that. The other end of the scale is many, many years after, and paint a picture of the world after the disaster. And, societies have built up, and new civilizations have risen, and new realities are reflected in the world. I like the idea of that. So those are things I'd like to see. As far as genres and settings that I would like to see done. Another one that I would be happy to see done, and I've done some preliminary sort of write-ups of what I think the world might be look like in a game, is Lady Saber and the Pirates of the Ineffable Ether. The world that they created for that comic is excellent. It's lots of fun, lots of details, very interesting. Lends well to high adventure or political intrigue, and I'm a big fan of both of those things. And I think I will close out with the last thing that comes to mind, which is I miss playing in World of Darkness. I used to play it a lot. I was in the Camarilla, and I played in the tabletop games, and I really enjoyed World of Darkness. The classic World of Darkness, and I even like the newer version of the World of Darkness. I like dealing with that kind of horror where it is oddly more personal, less anemic. Cthulhu is great, and I love it, and I've played the hell out of it, and I would play it some more if I could. But it is very much a sort of the scholarly approach to horror. Well, there's horror. That's terrible. Let's figure out how to beat it. And World of Darkness isn't meant to be that. World of Darkness is meant to be, there's horror. We're the horror. We're part of the terribleness of the world, no matter how hard we try. And we need to deal with the fact that we're part of that. And I like that subtle distinction. So I kind of miss playing World of Darkness games. Wraith, the game that I always refer to as the greatest game no one will ever play. Mage has always been something that has intrigued me, just because it's an oddly philosophical game. It's all about the nature of reality and how you interact with it. Vampire's always been fun. I enjoyed Vampire, and I still enjoy reading about it, and I wish I could play it again. So World of Darkness is something I would like to play more of. I always like the new system that they've got. The new World of Darkness rulebook is actually pretty solid. And I have in the back of my mind a setting I've always wanted to do in it, which was sort of inspired by the movie Push, where the people have psychic powers and different government agencies are trying to influence them secretly. Behind the scenes. So it's sort of, it has some of the similar trappings to World of Darkness, but it has much more of a psionic take rather than, ghosts, demons, vampires, and werewolves. So I would be interested in doing that. And I've had that idea in the back of my head for years. I've just never actually managed to sit down and do it. And I almost forgot. The last game I've never played, and I've always wanted to, but I never could get the game, people worked out to, who they wanted to, how did I put that? I never could get people interested in playing. The few times I've brought it up, which was Mutant City Blues, where you play cops working on a beat that deals with superpowered beings. I think that's a great idea. I've got the rulebook. I love it. Gumshoe is a good system for doing investigation. I just kind of like the notion of doing a nice murder mystery with superpowers. Call me crazy. Anyways, that's my list of games I wish I could, play in or run by genre or setting. This was my response to Faun Trodden's call for such things, and hopefully other people will find this entertaining as well. I will be posting some more stuff later this week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.